KSM 137 sounds pretty dang good for your budget. This is still a pretty killer condenser. But again, back to the 4011, these just take things to another level. Hey, what's going on? This is Steven with MikeReynolds.com, and today we're talking about the DPA 4011. This one specifically is the 4011A, so it's kind of slim. So these are referred to as pencil condensers, but they're all classified as small diaphragm condensers. I have a couple of things I'm going to A/B with it, just so you kind of hear the difference. You can also definitely hear the quality of these 4011As. One thing, they ain't cheap, that's for sure. A lot of the 4011s and DPAs in general tend to get requested by orchestra sound designers and engineers. Usually it's when we get a input list from somebody, it's usually DPA, Neumann, Sheps. Those are all kind of in their, like, this orchestra class, if you will. But hey, if when it comes down to it, you just work with what you got, right? So back to this 4011. So this is it's called a pre-polarized condenser. Pre-polarized condensers, they tend to be far more sensitive, and that's something I can, for sure hear in this. I can almost feel like I can hear my tongue moving around in my mouth, just the detail of it. And so I have to have a windscreen on this because it's very sensitive to plosives, but I'll take it off for a second just so you kind of see that sounds awesome. So it's just a little tiny capsule, and so I'm trying to prevent the plosive, so I'm going to talk off to the side of it. So just these are cardioids, so I can talk off to the side. There's a wide cardioid version of this, which is a 4015, and there's also a twin diaphragm version called the 2011, which I'm going to have to do a review on that one too. That's it's kind of an apple and an orange, if you will. But this capsule can get put on other preamps. It can even be put on a wireless adapter and put on a wireless handheld. So if you have a situation where you needed to, you couldn't get a cable to, or just didn't make sense, or you have to strike it really fast, these can get put on Shure Sennheiser wireless, or anything with the 3-ring wireless adaptation. So another thing about the 4011 is, like, you can also use the compact adapter as well. There's an ES and an ER, so you could even mic a snare with this, even though that's a very expensive snare mic. So you got to keep in mind whether you want that around like a high velocity swinging stick. So I'm gonna put the windscreen back on. That's awesome. I want to compare it to a couple of different mics. So I have the SM58. So you're going to hear like a really big contrast. You want to talk about like an apple and a watermelon. This is the 4011A, and then here's the SM58. So you kind of definitely hear the frequency response difference. For those of you who are used to hearing 58s, again, if that's all you got to mic something, hey, use it. Better than nothing, right? But then if you can either rent or invest in some of the 4011s, that's going to just take your recording to that whole nother level. So here I am back on the 4011. So geez, it's crazy just how full this sounds. Frequency response on this thing is very, very flat. Linear is another word to say that. If I want to compare something that's a little bit more in its class, like another pretty standard small diaphragm pencil condenser, I'm going to use the Shure KSM 137. These are also a cardioid pickup pattern. The sensitivity is not the same. And frequency response isn't necessarily the same, but I'll let you kind of hear it for yourself. It tends to sound maybe a little bit darker, but there's also some filtering, active filtering on this, and also some pads. That's this preamp on the 4011 doesn't actually have any of that on it. To get any type of filtering or padding, you would want to use the B preamp, which that's more common with the shotguns, like the 4017 shotguns come standard with the B preamp on them. But you rarely ever see them. Anyway, the KSM 137 sounds pretty dang good, you know. And again, for your budget, this is still a pretty killer condenser. But again, back to the 4011, these just take things to another level. You know, putting like a cello on this thing or a string section on this thing. So, you know, if you're trying to mic a bigger section with less mics, then you would probably look at a 4015, which is just that much wider. So yeah, lots of numbers. That's DPA, throwing numbers around all over the place. But hey, instead of spending like $2,000 to try this capsule out, you can always go to MikeReynolds.com, use the promo code RENT15, and give the DPA 4011A a shot. And you know, so that's all I got. And hey, we'll catch you on the next mic.